When you think of military, you think of pew pew pew, like night vision goggles and camouflage on the face and like stuff like that. Where majority, like in the Air Force, it's enter, enter,
Yeah.
like, and basically deflated. Like I gave up on everything. I was giving up on life, which I shared in another video on YouTube. But that was the darkest place in my entire life, and I had to sit there one day and realize, like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing right now? Like, why am I'm choosing to not get better. I'm choosing to not advance. And it's affecting now my work starting to notice, like I'm hiding all this depression. I'm hiding not drinking constantly. And I'm like, this can't go on. And so getting through all that and now, that whole comeback story of over a year and then building back my physique, but my confidence, my energy, and going from not wanting to live to like living healthy, having my friends around me, the right friends, not like fake ones, and um, making people see that, like, I do love my life and that I work hard at everything I do. I just have to continue pushing myself with the things that keep me happy. And I didn't realize how much the gym was doing that for me when I wasn't training.
Got my phone propped up on some Super Savage.
Let me see.
It's so good,
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys both for joining us today. I'm excited to talk about this with you guys, and I'm sure your guys', your fans and friends are going to be excited to listen to this too. But for the introduction, can you both share your journey into the military? What inspired you to join the Air Force and the Navy, and how did your path lead you to where you are now?
You have first, bro.
Okay. Oh, are we starting now? Okay. Are we like live and recording? Ready to go?
We're recording. It's not
Okay,
live,
yeah,
but
hey.
we're recording.
Gotcha. Yeah. So
we can
my
get
name
straight
is James
into it.
Ball. I go by JBaller32 on Instagram. I'm part of the Get Raw team since 2020. I'm active duty Navy. I'm actually on the ship right now. I'm a lieutenant commander. My job is like the principal assistant of the services. So like it's like a bunch of cool stuff. Like I'm kind of like the morale guy, fun guy, food guy. But right now, so I've been at 18 years. In 2006, I enlisted. I was an airframe structural mechanic when I started. But what led me to the Navy really is I always thought I was just gonna be a pro baseball player. I was pretty good. I was tracking that way. And then I got derailed with an arm injury. I was a pitcher. And so I kind of just had all my eggs in that basket, and I didn't know what I was like wanted to do in life. So I was going to college, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, this ain't for me. I don't know what I want to do. And then I was like, I joined the Navy. And so like I decided I wanted to do something. So I ended up joining the Navy. I had to get in shape to join the Navy because I got really out of shape a year of doing nothing. And so that's kind of how I bit my like fitness bug. Really, that's how I got into working out, and then eventually like bodybuilding and all those things. Was I had to get shape to join the Navy, and so like working out in the Navy have been my anchors in life that really set me straight the past 18 years. So that's why I have a strong passion for fitness, is because it's kind of what guided my life to where I'm at right now. And my foundation of success, I believe, is built off fitness. That's why I love it so much.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Danny?
Sweet. Well, salutations. I'm Daniel with the D. I'm just Danny. I'm just got out of the Air Force in March after 10 and a half years. I was in the chair force. I didn't do anything crazy cool like James over here. I did in-flight refueling. Actually, that's pretty cool. But I did in-flight refueling.
Yeah,
on a
that is
KC
pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
It's
Did
very,
in-flight
very important.
refueling.
Very, very important.
Yeah, so we'll go into it a little later too, but I joined the Air Force at 17 years old. I graduated high school in May, went to boot camp in August, turned 18 at boot camp, and then obviously was enlisted the whole time. Multiple deployments, all that jazz, and then did the same career my whole entire time. Went from being just like a line boom operator, which is what it's called, being a boom operator, on a KC-10, and then eventually instructor, evaluator, and all the highest tiers of that job itself. I finished off my career in Oklahoma on the KC-46, which is the newest airframe for air refueling in the Air Force. And yeah, so pretty much my whole, I guess, early start of my adult life, I learned how to become a man in a lot of ways because of the military. I was supposed to, or I wanted to go to college for lacrosse. I was tracking that way for me. I had scholarships for D1 colleges in high school, and my dad was like, "Yeah, we're not that rich, so even with all the scholarships and stuff, we weren't going to get you to Dartmouth or Villanova and all that stuff." So I was like, "Okay, Dad, that sucks. No ESPN, I guess." So I did ROTC in high school. I learned a lot about the military through that class, which was awesome. Got really cool with the instructors, and inspired me to join. So then once I joined, I I was 18 years old, right? So got to my first duty station and started learning my job. And at the end of the workday, I was like, all right, like what do I do? Like, I don't have practice. Like I don't. What do I do with my hands? Like anchor, Talladega Nights. What do I do with my hands? Like, so I didn't know what to do. I started going to the gym, right? And I kind of fell in love with it, and it gave me an outlet for my stress I was going through, like mentally and stuff. And just like over the years, like it developed into bodybuilding, kind of like James. Like it wasn't like, hey, I'm gonna become a bodybuilder. It was just more like I got so good at doing something that I was like, hey, why not do this? I have the frame, I have the work ethic for it, and it turned into bodybuilding. And I shared the whole journey of the military and fitness through social media. And along the way, I got to connect with people during deployments and missions and stuff, and talk a lot about like mental health, which is a huge thing I'm an advocate for, and got to connect with people on that because I think fitness in general is a huge outlet for people that have issues. And when people give the gym a chance, their life can really change. And it's not just serious bodybuilding; it could be any type of regular fitness. So I just think the gym overall, my highest, excuse me, highs and lows in life, fitness pretty much saved me because it's always been there. It's always been my go-to outlet, even when I, again, was at my lowest. So, yeah, that's pretty much my story. I'm 28, 28 going on 58, apparently, according to TikTok. But, yeah, I turned 20. Actually, I turned 29 in a couple weeks. So, yeah, that's my life story. I got a little armpit story there. So, there.
That's pretty cool. What were your guys' expectations before joining, and how did those expectations change once you were in the service?
You want me to go first, Danny?
Yeah, we'll just go. Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah. So I always had this in like vision, like of like all the movie boot camps and like people working out, running around base all the time, and everyone's gonna be like super in shape and like stuff like that. So like when I went to boot camp, I had like back in the day, you used to have to sign up way in advance, and then like I had to wait like 6 months to go. And so like I got in like extreme shape. Like I did like a marathon. I did the LA marathon in under like 4 hours. Like I was hitting the gym like 6 days a week. Like I just went kind of crazy with my fitness because I ended up like catching the bug, right? And so I thought I had to be in this kind of shape, like I was gonna be like a Navy SEAL or something, which I was not ever trying to be a Navy SEAL. Those guys are, but it ended up being like, okay, most people really aren't in that great of shape in the military. Yeah, we have regulations and there's like tests we have to pass twice a year. They actually kicked it back to once a year now, and they loosened up a lot to keep like retention. But I'd say that I'm well over the average fitness person in the armed forces that I've seen. And yeah, but did I answer your question? Like, I feel like I might have went off on a tangent there.
Your expectations for like a fitness level were like up here, and realistically, it's like down here on
Yeah,
average.
I mean, yeah. So I didn't really give my career like a story like Danny did, but I'm in the regular Navy, so I've mostly done aircraft carriers and a cruiser. So this is my third aircraft carrier, and then I've done a cruiser, so 4 ships total. But like the regular like blue water Navy, yeah, you got to be able to like get up and down ladder wells, fight a fire, like that type of like basic physical fitness stuff. But like we don't need to be like Navy SEALs, right? Like those guys, their expectations and standards are much higher. So like I prepared to kind of, I feel like, to be a Navy SEAL, and I was just kind of going to the regular Navy. But I always want to come in more prepared, so it's good. Yeah.
That's a cool perspective.
Yeah, so I mean, Honestly, it's pretty much the same. I have a bunch of buddies of mine who have the utmost respect for that have done some crazy shit in the military. And the those are the top percentile of the military. And when I say that, that is what you see in the movies. When you think of military, you think of pew pew pew, like night vision goggles and camouflage on the face and like stuff like that. Where majority, like in the Air Force, it's enter, enter.
Yeah.
Like it's not like what it all seems like. Don't get me wrong. There's awesome career paths that let you do things like that, where you are out in the field and doing stuff. For example, even my job. When people say the field, which is going out into like a combative area and learning hands-on combat skills or survival stuff like that, I never had to do any of that. I've never been in the field. I've eaten an MRE, which is an actual meal ready to eat for fun. Like I never had to eat one. You know what I mean? And that's just transparency with my career because we didn't have it. We had the Gucci life. We had the best dining facilities. We had the best hotels. We never stayed at anything less than a Hilton when we went TDY on travel. Like we were, it's like a different echelon. But expectation fitness wise, yeah, it's like you watch Small Soldiers and all these movies as a kid, or watch GI Joe, all these comics. Everyone's ripped and out of their minds. And I know I say that, and people are like, "Oh, look at you, GI Joe," but it's like literally not that at all. It's especially in the Air Force, at least, there are people that are super like fit endurance wise, which is like incredible. I've seen like marathon runners and stuff, which I couldn't do. I want to try one day actually, but majority they don't even like the gym. They pass the PT test barely. I've had people I've supervised that failed 3 4 PT tests in a row, and where they actually had to separate because of it. And the PT test standards, that's another joke. I mean, it's a mile and a half run, and the fail and the to pass to it's like 13 or I'm sorry, to fail it's like 16 minutes or something. It's something ridiculous. And then push ups, sit ups, like bare minimum stuff that like people should just do on a regular, just to stay fit, not bodybuild. And people struggle with that. And I know fitness isn't for everyone, but that standard, even if I wasn't into bodybuilding, was something I could have passed in high school. And when people think of the military, it's like, oh, everyone's fast, everyone's agile and this. And I'm like, actually, it's not. Most people, it depends on your job, really. All you got to do is perfect your job, which you signed up for, and know it and do it well and perform the task at hand well and pass the PT test and that's literally it. Like, and it's not this whole, again, night vision goggles, super, like every time people say like, or ask me about the military, I'm very transparent. I'm like, people say chair force. I'm like, a lot of the time it is the chair force because whether I'm sitting in the office at my desk in a chair for most of the week, but on Wednesday I go fly, I'm still 28,000 feet in the air in a chair refueling. Like I'm not doing anything that makes me have to move around or do things like that towards like challenging versus someone that's out there doing a rescue mission or surveillance or something out in Afghanistan. They're out there for days without any real food. So I think we have a very similar, I guess, idea of like the what we had expected, or at least people have expectations of, versus how it actually is in reality.
Mhm. Is the PT test the same for both of you?
No, they differ a little bit. The Navies and the Air Forces are the easiest of the four branches, though, or 5 branches now. Sorry, Space Force is probably I haven't looked into Space Force, but yeah, Air Force is probably similar to the Air Force.
Can you guys kind of break down what the PT test looks like for you guys?
Yeah, I'll start. So the Navy, it's based off your age. So you have to hit a certain amount of numbers, but it's in age brackets. It's like every 5 years you go in a different bracket, which is like lower standards. But so like we have to do a cardio event. So for the Navy, it's a 1.5 mile run, or you can do 12 minutes on a bike, or you could do I think it's a 2,000 meter row. So based off, you have to do like certain times in each, and it kind of gives you a score. So I do the bike now, and I do the row also sometimes, just because running's like harder on me. I weigh like 270 pounds, but I'm a beast on the bike and a beast on the rower, so I can like max those out. And then we have to do push-ups in 2 minutes, max amount of push-ups, and then now we do a plank. So it's based off time. So I think like for me to max out, it's like 3 minutes and 30 seconds plank. And there's the 3 categories, and then there's the body weight, height, and weight test too. So if you're over it's based off your inches and your weight, and so if you're over your weight, you get taped around your waist to see if you're over body fat or not.
Yeah, and so ours is a lot similar, and ours recently just changed as I was actually transitioning out. They added a couple of new things and requirements. One thing that kept going back and forth since I was in over the 10.5 years was the waist measurement. That initially was always a thing, and people were failing that just had blocky waist but would perform fine. So they took it away, but they brought it back because now everyone started failing just the regular tests. Um, to add a health, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Just like if you have a big waist, hey, you should probably try to do this, which it makes no sense to me, but Air Force, you know. And then we have the 1.5 mile run, which again, it's 1.5 miles around a track. It's nothing crazy. To pass that, I mean, I'm 245 pounds, and yeah, I hate running, but I mean, I'd run it in 12:45 and still pass, you know, and that's pretty good for that
Yeah.
weight. And that's not like I don't think that's impressive, but for someone that doesn't train for that, like I still am able to do it without ever running for funsies, you know. And then we have like a shuttle run, which I never did, so I have no idea how that even works. Like I couldn't explain to you. If you Google it, there's a shuttle run, and then there's also we have a plank as well. And those are like substitutes, I think, for like push-ups and sit-ups, I believe, or something like that. But the push-ups, sit-ups has always been there since I was in as well. And those again are bare minimum. It's like 50 some push-ups, 60 some push-ups, 50 some sit-ups in a minute, and you have a minute to do it. And it's based on just kind of like James said, it's based on your age bracket. So like after 25, you go into another one. After 35, it's another one, and so forth. Um, but yeah, I mean the test based, I think, by service, there's definitely like, how should I say this? The difficulties are similar, but there's definitely a branch that probably has a harder one. Air Force is definitely not it. In my opinion, just be from
It's the
yeah,
Marines.
and that's what I was gonna say.
The Marines got to do the 3 mile run and the pull-ups.
Yep.
And they don't substitute anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
I respect them for that.
hell yeah. No, and that's like being always around Marines and Army guys, like they'd always laugh at, because again, when you say PT, physical training, or going out and doing PT with the crew or whatever, usually like squadrons or units or however it is that you guys are separated up, you guys go as a unit to do it, right? That's how usually standardly it is. Like everyone goes out and does PT together, whether you're on, I don't know how it is on the ship, but at least like on ground, you go out and do it every Wednesday or every 2 days or every morning. In a flying unit, which again, this is on the flying side of the Air Force. The last time I did unit, like unified PT, was 2017. I Other than that, they're treated like a big boy program. But the rest of the Air Force, the Air Force, when I say like enter, like chair force, yeah, they're out there. You go McGuire Air Force Base, any of these bases, you see them every day, 6 o'clock, doing squadron PT, or every 2 days, you know, and they still do it. So it really depends on your unit, what kind of job you have. But standard wise, pretty easy to pass. Marines probably have it again hardest. Air Force is down there. I don't know, probably last. So
Do you guys have any like, so you guys both went through boot camp,
Yep.
right? So do you guys have any like core memories that you want to share from your boot camp?
Oh God. Yeah. So so enlisted boot camp. I've been through basically 2 boot camps. I did when I was enlisted when I was 19, and then I got commissioned when I was I think 27 or 28. A few years, I think it was 27, like 7.5, 8 years later. But my enlisted one, I was a kid from Southern California, just north of LA. I had no manners. I was always like the great athlete. Like I kind of did what I want when I wanted. So it was a very rude awakening going to boot camp as that guy. So I would break a lot of rules. I would say though, like my most vivid memory ever. And so I said grew up in California, Southern California, kind of by the beach, like Ventura County. Is when we in the gate first, you got okay, cool. So you jump off this board and you got to swim like 50 meters. Okay, you can swim fast. You could. I had never seen a human being not be able to swim before until I joined boot camp. So there's this one kid I remember right before I went. Yeah, so long story short, I don't know where I got interrupted at, but it was not a grown man to swim before, just watching somebody go to the bottom and not be able to get back up. And I was like, wow, like that always stuck with me. And I got in trouble a couple of times. So I would like steal like cookies and peanut butter.
Connection's a bit slow on the
Yeah, it's
boat.
the Wi-Fi connection. I can only imagine with the amount of people watching certain things on a ship. But
I'll try to come back in.
We'll wait for him to come back in, and then
yeah,
we'll
for
let
sure.
him we'll let him try again, then let you go.
No worries.
What are you thinking so far of everything we're talking about?
No, it's awesome. Like these are, I love when people ask, is like, I'm not one to butter anything up, or it's just my personality. I'm gonna tell you straight up, how things are, whether it's like good or bad, and actually say like, hey, this is how it actually is with certain stuff. Experiences people want to hear, like, how is this? How is this? This is how it actually was. This is what you see on TV. This is what you hear from your friends, your recruiter, and it's just giving people like that realistic expectation of certain things.
Yeah,
And same thing, I do the same thing with fitness, because how the industry is with online and social media, everything is very superficial, and what you see versus like how it is, and then like sometimes people don't like to hear like what it takes to do something or how something actually is. And it's just because I think people are soft and they don't realize like you have to put in work to get to something, whether it's a career, a sport, or anything. So talking about this kind of stuff gives people like, oh, actually, really? Like you're not going to say the Air Force is all badass and hardcore. I'm like, no. I'm like, it is in certain ways, 100%. I got all the love and respect for the people that do it. But what I didn't do anything that was I call heroic. I didn't do anything that where I was like shooting, machine guns and like, running like Rambo. Like that's not it. But that's the image that they have. A lot of people.
hmm
Where are you from, Michael?
I'm from Ohio,
What part?
Akron, Cleveland.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Moved to Florida a couple of years ago. Been working with Raw for a little bit over a year. I'm the one so I've never actually even been on a podcast. So a lot of the people watching this are going to be seeing me for the first time, but I'm typically the one behind the camera recording everything. 90+ % of the YouTube videos you guys see from Raw, I'm filming and editing. I'm
Oh,
all
sick, dude. That's so awesome. I love your work is phenomenal, then, because
Thanks.
my buddy, my best friend who does all my videos and photos for my page, he's 19. So like I show him and I send him a lot of people's stuff. And when I try to say like, hey man, try to do this theme so I could match Raw. Like, you know what I mean? It could still be Danny, but I want to be, since I'm part of Raw, I want to film in that way. So
Yeah.
like when I see like good edits and this, I'm like, bro, look, watch this. And he's like, oh, I gotta learn it. And he literally started doing this when I got out of the military. He started doing this full time with me, and he's just been learning. He's been doing a phenomenal job. He's 19 years old, and I'm seeing other people do it inspires him. So whenever I see like cool stuff, I'm like, bro, look at this. Because like a cool edit will make like the most basic thing like movement or anything look like 10 times cooler. You know what I mean?
That's what I love so much about like videography and stuff is I can literally take a video of you sitting in that chair and make you look cool for no reason. That's the
Yeah.
fun part. But I appreciate that. James, are you there?
Hey, you guys got me?
Yeah, I think I hear you now.
Since I'm a little slow,
Okay.
what was the question again?
What was the most significant lessons you learned early in your career? Or was that the question I asked, or did I ask something else?
No, I think it wasn't
No,
boot
no,
camp.
it was memorable boot camp.
Okay, yeah, I don't feel like we're both a little on the slower side. Okay, cool. All right. Shit. So there's just like a couple of random stuff. Like boot camp wasn't physically challenging at all. It's like very much just an eye-opening experience to see people from other parts of the country. You know, just how they talk, right? Like what they do. Like I didn't even know chewing tobacco. Like there's certain stuff like just that you don't see. Those interactions, talking to people, getting to know people. Sounds weird, but getting into a big ass shower with 10 dudes and like some are shy, like, oh, I don't see my weenie, versus like, here I am. Like it's just like stuff like that. Those memories are always there. And but the like randomest things, like I remember like I had the stupid task they make you do when you get in trouble, or like I was raking rocks one time. Like I just remember being outside and just like I have a rake, and like usually, you know, you have like grass or some random shit that you're doing for a purpose of raking, and I'm there outside raking rocks, and I just felt like people are watching me do this, and I'm like, what do they think of me? You know, not like for my ego, but I'm like, I look so stupid. Then the other time I got in trouble, I had this big ass, those brooms that have like are super long bristles. I was outside like not mopping, brooming like a basically a platform that was completely clean, but I had to broom it anyways, and I was just pushing around air for like 30 minutes. It's just like it's so stupid. And then again, Pete watching them like the super nervous kids like messing up the first couple weeks when they're in formation, like we're all at attention and they're walking like with their arms and um getting reamed and like scolded. You know, the like we had a couple in our flight that were like the really nerdy guys that were just like super smart, but like, hey, according to our calculations, today's weather is AccuWeather forecast has a wind chill of like those kind of dudes. Super cool. Like I love them. I still actually keep in contact with them. Um, they would get like eaten up by the drill sergeants. Like especially at Chow, like you'd have to get your food and then you have to walk in front of the snake pit, which was where all the drill sergeants sat. And they're waiting for certain people to walk past and they're like, what are you doing? Like, and these kids would like get shook up, like to the point where one time, like this kid started like, well, like they're training. What are you stupid or something? Like they would like roast you, like they try to break you down. And the whole point of it, I understand, is because they want to break people down so they could build them up into airmen, right? And that's the purpose, especially like the people that were not undisciplined, but they had a rougher childhood, so they came in with a not mature mindset where they have to kind of grow up a little bit. Those kids had the hardest time because these drill sergeants were just going at him and breaking them down. And seeing these like, I'm not going to call them dirtbags because again, I had my moments too, but people that just didn't have like really that adulthood mindset figured out yet, being molded into airmen. Again, I wouldn't say professional airmen because they're still young, even after graduating boot camp, but seeing that transition of like, hey, I'm immature. I don't know shit. I think I know everything. I no one disrespects me to like, I'm going to get broken down. My feelings are going to get hurt. And then eventually I'm like, oh shit. Like, you know, I'm just like everyone else. I'm at the same playing field. Those are the most memorable moments because again, I look back and I'm like, during the time when you're doing it, like you don't think about all these things that are going on, but you look back, you're like, wow, I did this, that, you know. Oh, and then the other memorable thing, super random, my 18th birthday, which was September 24th, 2013, was the gas chamber. I didn't know that. So on my birthday, I don't ever have yogurt. I was like, oh, well, fuck me. I'm gonna have yogurt on my birthday, which has lactate in it, obviously, or lactose, whatever. And when you go in the gas chamber, you have to take off your mask and say your reporting statement, which is Sir Trainee Jacob reports as ordered. You have to say it fully, and then you're allowed to exit. So I got, again, this yogurt sitting in my stomach. I didn't know that would come up. So I started saying it, and like I'm saying my reporting statement, and I'm like, the gas hits my eyes, and all the acid from the my yogurt just starts coming up, and I'm like, the shit just going all everywhere, and I start like crying because my eyes are on fire. I can't see anything, and I'm just like touching people around me, and like, it was horrible experience. But then I understood to never do that again if I was had to go into a gas chamber. So yeah, that's my experiences at boot camp.
I've heard stories like that, raking rocks and like sweeping something that's already clean. And it's like it's funny to hear that it's actually real, but like
Yeah.
if you could summarize, because obviously there's lessons to be learned and they do it for a reason. So could you kind of like summarize the lessons that they want you to learn from doing something so silly?
I I think it's just like doing something like if you can't like it's punishment, right? Or but if you can't do that basic task, as dumb as it is, how you expect to do bigger ones, you know, when it actually matters. Like that doesn't matter raking rocks, right? But if you're not going to do that correctly, that's so dumb and basic. You can't do that. How are we going to expect you to, you know, perform maintenance on an aircraft or whatever it may be? I know it's far fetched, but in reality, it's like you had to do it. And I had to rake those rocks like a damn professional, you know, because they'd come out and be like, "What are you doing?" If I wasn't raking them fast enough or I wasn't dusting the platform with nothing on it fast enough. And it's attention to detail also, right? That's another huge thing. It's like with uniforms and holding on uniforms, our inspections, our room inspections, because everything was spick and span in the room. Nothing had creases. Nothing had the bed sheets were always perfect and crisp. We had a little, when you walk to like a walkway from one room to the other, sometimes there's like a little chrome strip that divides rooms up, or like in a doorway, like how that chrome strip is. So one of the jobs that we had in our big living space was we had to polish that every single morning. And I've never polished chrome in my entire life until the day that I had to. And usually there's like this polishing fabric, which is like this white thing, and you can literally buff it out and then wipe or whatever. They give you a little alcohol swab size, like a one half-inch square on your finger that you could just go like this. And we had to sit there and buff it out every morning with that. And that was the only thing we had to clean it with. And it had to be perfect. There's like smudge, like do it all over again with this, like again, this tiny little like a alcohol swab square. And there was like that attention to detail, stuff like that, like learning how to utilize things that you may not have all the equipment for, but making it work. You know what I mean? So I think that those are the biggest points of like stupid quote unquote stuff, like attention to detail, um, and then not letting something like that, like something as dumb as raking rocks or doing this, like get to you. Like, all right, I have to do this. I have to do it. You know what I mean?
It sounds like they're trying to get you to crack at the
Yeah,
same time.
yeah. A lot of
Or
the
like,
time, the task it's again attention to detail, and to see like how much you can handle, like to see where your limit is. It's the same thing with on the Navy side. I know like my buddies at our SEALs, like when they are doing certain stuff, they're pushing you. Even Ranger School, they're pushing you to not just physical limit. The hardest thing that you're pushing your mental limits with things to where you didn't think, like you go to a dark spot to get through something. And I'm not saying raking rocks is that dark spot. I'm saying doing certain things that will make you go into a version of yourself that you didn't think you're digging to get through that task. And I know those special force guys do that stuff because again, my friends have told me shit that like it just was bizarre to me as far as the training goes. And then in real life, just like, wow, like, and they thought that they couldn't do it beforehand, you know what I mean? But once you are there and you're like, I have to push past the mental blockade, it's not physical anymore. It's not where you can't physically do something. A lot of the times, what holds us back is that mental aspect of it. It's the same thing with, like, I guess in the gym, and like related to that, because a lot of the times people don't want to try a bench or try a machine or a certain amount of weight on something because they're scared to do it mentally. But if you kind of take that out or taper down, like fuck it, like I got this, you surprise yourself and actually do it. That's why I'm like, oh, some people are like, oh, I'm gonna go for 4. I'm like, nah, fuck that. Go for 5 or 6. If you get 4, that's fine. But if you mentally tell yourself something that you're gonna go to, you're mentally capping yourself there. And that's like a lot of things that people get stopped with advancing, not just with bodybuilding, with anything. You know what I mean? Because they limit themselves mentally. Like, I think I can only do this. Well, if you think you can, then you're setting your expectations at that level. But if you're like, hey, I want to outdo that and potentially do this, or whatever it is, that's where you are pushing past that mental blockade and then physically are able to do that task. So yeah, sorry, I went on right there, but
no, that's all. That seems good, man. James, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean a big thing like one fun thing like I really had to do in boot camp. Well, this wasn't when I was in boot camp. This was OCS, Officer Candidate School, so like similar thing. But we had Marine Corps gunny sergeants as our leaders, right? And they'd make you go roll around and stand for like 30 minutes so like you're ready to go puke and throw up, push ups and stand and just roll and get really, really sandy and dirty. And then we'd have to go back to our room and then go do PT in our room so all the sand would come off in our room and then we'd have to clean it. So that's just them showing like, yo, like this is what you gotta fucking do, man, if you want to get through this shit. How bad you want it? And that goes back to your mindset. Like, okay, do I want it? Am I part of this team? Am I in when shit's hard or something I don't want to do that I have to do? Am I gonna do it when I get out to the food? So that's kind of what it is. It's breaking you down to understand there's some shit you're gonna have to do at some point in your career whether you like to or not, and you just buckle down and do it. It's up to people, because they want to. It's one of these they want to do. It's like a big team effort. The whole like Navy, Armed Forces, working in the Air Force, like it's not an individual sport, if you will. It's a team-like atmosphere in the Navy.
How has being in the Air Force and Navy shaped you as a person? Has your worldview or sense of purpose evolved because of your service?
But yeah, I mean, I have a great sense of purpose. Because what we do out here, we have a mission, and that's to support and defend the freedom and democracy around the world. And so, what we do in the Navy and the Armed Forces, what sets us apart, gives us a comparative advantage against all our adversaries, is we can project and sustain power at any place of our choosing. So, no other country could do that. I'm extremely proud of it, and so I don't just show up to work like a 9 to 5. Like I know I play like that big Navy, but I do play a key role in that, and so I'm able to see that from my perspective now. You get that?
Yep, got that one.
Okay. All right. I tried
That was
to get
good.
it
Thank you.
so it don't cut up. Okay.
So I guess on my end, how my views and things like that I've benefited from while joining is the biggest thing is the feeling of like the friendships and bonds that you build in the military are second to none. Some of my friendships that I made while I was deployed, some of the friendships I made at certain bases I was at, and some even like at random locations I went on missions. Like we all understood that we're part of something together, whether we're different branch or not. And it's like as much shit as we may give each other branch wise, like we always come together at the end of the day. We may fight it out at a bar, but that, you're still going to be drinking after that fight. You know, it sounds dumb, but that is how it is. And I've had some of the closest relationships with people and brotherhood that I've made because of the military. And that's not a friendship I think I've been able to have as a civilian or even in high school before I joined, because it's different. It's not like meeting a job, or it's not like making a friend at Radio Shack that you work with. Like you're there with this person through like thick and thin and learning some crazy shit, going out together, seeing some stuff, you know, and going to deploy, seeing so like just enduring things together that makes you guys separate from like just a normal 9 to 5 worker. And then the biggest thing is like, you know, having that honor of, as it's not corny to say at all, but honor to serve the strongest military in the entire world. Again, not in every branch has its purpose, but the versatile um, Marine Corps, Army, Marines, or Army, Marines, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, Space Force. Everyone has their piece in the puzzle, and we do extreme work that no other country can. And being able, or have been able to do that for 10 and a half years, it made me feel super honorable. Again, I wouldn't say heroic in any sense, but honorable because I did something that's selfless and I love doing it as a career. Whereas some people, again, they choose to do their jobs and careers, which is for a purpose of working at a bank or working like this. This is for our country. Like, I love this country. This country is giving people freedom. This country is giving people a new life, opportunities. And I'd say since I joined, um, since I joined the military, my views on things, and that's not even on the political side, have changed in a lot of ways. Again, you understand I joined at 17 and I exited at 28. So my whole adulthood was learning like what life is like through the military. You know, going to the Middle East, going to Europe, going to every every single state, seeing the world, you know, going to other countries and understanding how their food is, how they talk to people, what's proper, what's not, what's disrespectful, what's a proper handshake, what's, you know, it made you understand life differently than someone that's just never left their hometown. And I think that when people join the military, the when people join the military, they get the opportunity to see the world and travel, and through that learn a cool job. But that life experience you can't gain anywhere else unless you travel personally, right? And I always tell people sometimes you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. And when you're an 18-year-old kid walking through, the Middle East, or walking around a foreign country, you're a little uncomfortable because it's out of your purview. It's out of what you're used to, but you adjust, and adjusting and seeing it. It's so beautiful, man. Like, so it made me again look at the world and how the world operates very differently than someone that's just like America, America, America. As much as I love this country, I know that this isn't the only country in the world. So to be worldly and understand things, you have to go out of that America and see the world to build that kind of world aspect of it. And so again, Air Force wise, my traveling and flying all over the world, that's one big thing I took away, was that the world is beautiful, and it's also a shitty place in a lot of areas. But it's those experiences and memories you make in those locations with the people you're with that make those adventures and journeys memorable. And that ties it back into those bonds, because you could be in the shittiest location, hot as balls, no food, water, but you're with your boys, and you could laugh about something that you did during that time. So that's like those big takeaways that I look back at. As much as I have my pros and cons, that those are the biggest pros out of my career.
Nice. James, you're back.
Yeah.
Looks like your connection is a bit better.
Okay, cool.
Good.
Yeah,
So
they restart their
Danny,
routers and stuff. Yeah.
good. Danny, you said a couple of things that reminded me of one thing that you said earlier. I forget exactly what it was, but it reminded me of the shopping cart method, which is something I saw. I think Chris posted it on his story, and I read into it. But you were talking about people doing the right thing. It was actually whenever you were talking about like breaking rocks in those lessons. It's like you have to do that one simple task correctly. And it's like it reminded me of the shopping cart method, where it's like you don't have to put your shopping cart away. You can leave it by your car. But the right thing to do is go put your shopping cart away. Nobody's going to get in trouble. You're not going to get yelled at or anything. But it says a lot about you as a person and your ability to just put your cart away because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, no, it's simple because it's the right thing to do. That comes with the word integrity, all that stuff, however you want to look at it. But it's also simple as in the everyone. I've heard this like phrase, I guess, but if starting off in the morning, like being taught to make your bed every morning. I know some people do and some people don't, but it's just doing something simple like that that starts you off with regiment and starts you off doing something every single day. So if you could do that, like, you know what I mean? It's a simple thing, but it sets you up for the rest of your day. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people don't do it. And I'm not saying, oh, every morning you should make your bed. Shit, there's days I don't. But the point is, it's just like simple things that people overlook all the time. It's just like, if you like clean up the counter, like fold the pillows on the couch every day, like you getting a routine of doing something, it sets you up, in my opinion, for success. And it's disciplining yourself. And the military is like that. Again, attention to detail, little things. You'll have a better regimented lifestyle, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the shopping cart method kind of talks about like how you feel about other people. It's like you're putting somebody else before yourself, because if you don't do it, somebody else has to do it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
James,
What up?
do you want to try and talk about that again? Because you were kind of chopping in and out like bad the last time.
So what was the question?
It was, how has being in the Air Force and Navy shaped you as a person? Has your worldview or sense of purpose evolved because of your service?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. Danny touched on the travel aspect. So if I never joined the Navy, I wouldn't have been to all the countries and all the places and experienced all the cultures I have. So I've definitely, every place I've gone, I've taken what I liked and seen what I didn't like and did not bring it back here as a person. So I am grateful for that. I've been to every continent except for Antarctica. So like I've seen basically I've sailed around the whole world, like literally. So That's pretty experience, but what it really did is the sense of purpose I have, like now as a lieutenant commander in the Navy, 18 years versus my in boot camp as an E1, has definitely evolved. So I didn't see the greater picture of what I do and the job and the impact I have on the sailors that work for me, and the impact I have on the ships or units I've been in. Because what I do now is like this very advantage in the adversary is our ability to project and sustain power at any place and point of choosing. And so everybody, that's the sustain part, everybody has a really, really big involvement in that all the way down to the E1. And so I'm able to kind of now reiterate that information to them and show them so they get a different perception that they're not just washing dishes. Like, we're sustaining that shit. Dishes have to get washed. That's how we stay out for 7-9 months at a time. And so like, just like then the whole sense of purpose thing is, yeah, I have a pretty big impact. Like when I walk around here on the mess decks now, or in the P-ways and on the ship, like people look at me as a role model. And that kind of goes back to the fitness thing. If I wasn't like in good shape and I didn't show that like I care about my body, like I wouldn't get the respect I do. I could just walk in a room right now and people are like, oh damn, he's disciplined. He works hard. Like if he says something, I should probably do it because he knows what he's talking about. And it's just that, it's that lifestyle that you live in the gym, right? And so that's kind of why I feel like fitness has helped me so much in the Navy, because you're going to get that respect because you can't buy a body. You got to work for it, right?
100%. Have you guys ever experienced a moment of doubt in your choice to serve? And how did you navigate it, if you did?
Every day on the ship, man. At some point, I'm like, man, why am I here? Why did I do this? No, yeah, you get a lot of problems. There's a lot of fires. It's usually personnel issues or something. Like stuff's hard. It's not always like how stuff goes to plan. But no, I mean, ever since I joined, I was like, there were some good days and there were some bad days, but there's more good than bad. I mean, I got an opportunity of a lifetime. I feel like I have zero college debt. I got like 2 different master's degrees. I've been able to sustain my lifestyle and support my family and provide great impact to many young men and women throughout my journey. And now where I'm at now, that's my why now is leveling all my guys and girls up under me. And I'm glad I'm starting to show more in my social media about my Navy stuff. I'm starting to get more of that following. And I think that's like the way of the future. Keep our services strong is they can see role models like myself. I like to consider myself a role model to them. So like, I've never really questioned it. I did like the first, like on the 3rd day of boot camp, and there was a fence and we were marching and I was like, I think I should probably just jump over that thing right now and get out of here. But other than that, no, I've really liked it. I've been fortunate. I think this was my calling in life. So I'm very happy where I'm at. It was the choice I made.
Good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there are some days like where it's like weeks where every day I was like, the fuck am I doing? Like, like just like wherever I was, just like the missions we're doing or the tasks at hand that I was told to do by my superiors, just like this is dumb. Obviously, I couldn't say that. I had to follow orders, but the good days always outweigh the worst. I towards the end there was more bad days just because of the leadership stuff and toxic stuff. But overall, my entire enlistment, my enlistments, I should say, I I enjoyed it. Like I didn't doubt like why'd I do this? Like no, like I loved it. I was like I did some cool shit. Like looking back, because and over time, especially my favorite part of like serving was teaching. And James touched on it, like being a role model. But to some of these kids, like I was with them all the time, like teaching them how to refuel planes, and I taught them from nothing to being a fully operational boom operator. And those moments when you're sitting there with an F-22, an A-10, a B-52, 50 feet behind you, and there's a kid that's about to shit his pants because it's his first time refueling or second time, whatever. And, he does a fantastic job because you taught him how to handle that stress. Even though he's nervous, it's so rewarding. It's not corny, but it's rewarding as hell. I have so many memories, and I still keep in contact with so many of my old students. They text me like, "Yo, Danny," like even when I was in and then I was a sergeant, I always let them know like I'm your instructor, I'm a sergeant, this and that, but I'm Danny. I always made people understand that I'm a human being, and though I'm a teacher and I'm your superior, like I respect you, you respect me. We're human, and that's how we're going to build a healthy relationship to where you can do your job better, to where you feel comfortable, and also learn and also be disciplined. Um, so like those like moments and things, like when I was doing that, I didn't doubt shit. I was up there like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. Like when a kid would again refuel an F-22, I know it's not, I said that before, but that's crazy for normal people. They don't understand like planes get refueled in the air, but you think of two airplanes touching in the sky and an 18-year-old kid doing it, and he does fantastic, and you're like, fuck yeah, bro, high five. Like, and then you land in Hawaii and you go out and you chill and have an awesome night together because you're with your crew and everyone goes out together. Like those experiences, like even when they are shit ones, even when they do terrible, they're like, well, you almost scratched that plane and fucked it up, but hey, you learn, right? Let's not do that again. And those moments where I sat there and I think back, and I'm like, I loved it. I loved that shit so much. And those moments made me not doubt any choice of mine of why I joined. Because in my mind, when I joined, I didn't think I was going to be doing that job. It was one of my choices. But I think most of the doubt is just comes from fear. It's like, hey, like, oh, I'm scared to do this. Like, it's not really like, is it going to be fun? You know, because most of the time, like things I doubted, like when I got through, I'm like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Oh, that wasn't so bad. And I look back at everything I did. Honestly, none of it was that bad. I embraced the suck. I embraced the suck to get to the glory. So, and that's just what it was.
So there's like, whenever you're going through like a really difficult time, sometimes you like have conversations, like internal conversations with yourself to kind of push yourself through whatever situation you're in. Can you guys explain like a really difficult situation you've been in and what you had to tap into mentally to push yourself through it and the conversations you had to have with yourself to push yourself through it?
Yeah, let me think on this one for a second, man. The heavy one.
So there were like certain instances where like I just had to like get my shit together quick and move, and I don't even know how to word it really, but like just get shit done and suck it up. Like I remember this is like my second deployment, I think it was. And I say deployment, I don't really consider them deployments because we're not going into active shooting war zone, but we're in the Middle East, flying into Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. But yeah, I had like a week notice, or no, I had 6 day notice that I was deploying, and my grandfather died that week, and like there's just like it just so many emotions were happening, and I was still I was 19 years old, and I was still like, I barely flew like 100 hours total in the airplane that I was in, and in those moments when you're tasked with something that you're not ready for, out of the whim, out of the blue, that makes you like uncomfortable, maybe scared a little bit. You have to sit there and be like, all right, like just you got to sit there and zone in, like, all right, I got this. It's gonna be fine, whatever. It's not really a setback per se, but it's more just like a preparation for what's about to come. You're like, I can handle this. Like life's throwing me this right now, and it's not what I want it to be, but I have to have adversity to get through the shit. you know and there's many instances like that where like I got last minute tasks to do something because someone dropped out, and I literally woke up at like 3 a.m., had to pack a bag and fly to Spain or Italy, and like shit like that where it's like, "Ah, come on, get yourself together, Danny, let's go, you got this, like let's see you perform, like they're counting on you." And then I've had other instances where setbacks per se, right? um to make E5 staff sergeant. It took me 3 times. All my peers made it like their first and second time. And that shit like ate at me for the longest time because maturity wise, I was there. I couldn't pass a test. I hate tests. And like that last time, like I had to like lock in per se. Like we'll use that term now, lock in. But I really had to be like, Danny, like, come on. Like your leadership is kind of going to make it. You already failed 2 times. You have to make it this time. That pressure, pressure is privilege, but like, yeah, like I had to, so I did everything I possibly can. Listen to audiobooks, what I did cardio while I was prepping for my shows, listening to the, uh, the books that I need to study with, like shit like that. And guess what? I passed. It sounds silly, but it's just like, I certain times I had to lock in and really, again, dig deep. It wasn't anything, I didn't really have to go to a dark place per se, but I had to pull myself out of a situation where I'm like, I can't let myself fail again because I hate failing. One of the things about me, my personality is like, I'm never in competition to beat someone, but I'm always in competition to be the best version of myself in that event, in that race, in that, I don't know, cooking a quesadilla, whatever it is. I'll make the best damn quesadilla. Um, but and one other thing I'll say is, yeah, I've had injuries. James mentioned his ankle, and he's going to get back to that in a minute. I had the same similar things. I've torn parts of my leg, both in the same area, and just recovering from those things. Like at certain times, like I didn't think I was going to come back, but I did. And you just have to be patient. And overall, the last thing I'll say, because I know I don't shut the fuck up sometimes, is when I went through my divorce and I didn't lift or be on social media for over a year from 2019 to 2020. I lost all my sponsors. I lost half my following. A lot of people I thought were friends. I resorted to alcohol and basically deflated. Like I gave up on everything. I was giving up on life, which I shared in another video on YouTube. But that was the darkest place in my entire life, and I had to sit there one day and realize, like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing right now? Like, why am I'm choosing to not get better. I'm choosing to not advance. And it's affecting now my work starting to notice, like I'm hiding all this depression. I'm hiding not drinking constantly. And I'm like, this can't go on. And so getting through all that and now, that whole comeback story of over a year and then building back my physique, but my confidence, my energy, and going from not wanting to live to like living healthy, having my friends around me, the right friends, not like fake ones, and um, making people see that, like, I do love my life and that I work hard at everything I do. I just have to continue pushing myself with the things that keep me happy. And I didn't realize how much the gym was doing that for me when I wasn't training. That whole year off, like I just didn't understand like the gym was my outlet. So when I came back, I was like, wow, man, like it was an ego hit because my strength was gone. My size was gone. I could barely shoulder press 40-pound dumbbells, which made me literally tear up in the bathroom that day. But then after all that, slowly and just getting through that, so I had to get to that really dark place and pull myself out. Like, am I gonna sit here and become overweight, continue drinking, just forget about my fitness career and all the people I've built over the years to inspire and motivate? What do they think? They're just gonna think, oh, did Danny Soul just fell off and did this and like he just like no, like I know people like watch my stuff and like were motivated. I want to continue helping them. So I feel like that's my purpose. So all right, that's it. I'm talking too much.
Thank you for sharing that, bro.
Okay. Yeah, you got me back. That was a good story, Danny.
No, it's all you.
Back. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I broke my ankle leaving the ship at the end of June. So very, very recently. I was very excited to the ship, and make it. I was like, shit. And then for you that don't know, like walking down on ladder wells that we have, very kind of dangerous. The broken ankle, you can't do it. So they took me off the ship, and I was going crazy, right? Because I couldn't work out. I had no purpose of having a job. I was just supposed to lay on the couch and wear a boot and not do a whole lot of stuff, right? So it's very, very mentally challenging me because fitness is kind of out of my life and the leading aspect is out of my life. And those are like my two purposes So I had to dig deep. I had to think. I had to find a way where I was like, okay, I got to rebrand right now. Rebranding phase. So I've altered my training and become a little bit more injury resistant. Get back, if I can get back on the boat, off the ship. The me out there, we got the appointment, and me thinking about being hurt, like on the job injury, was doing something dumb to them, walking downstairs, and it really got at me. So I had to really kind of focus and like, yo, you got to get your shit together, man. People need you in your life right now. Like, you got to get back out there. So I just kind of had to like rebrand, focus my way back out there, and kind of because that's my purpose. So what I had to do was I had to get a new goal, right? It wasn't like competing. It wasn't like all this stuff. It was like, all right, I got to get healthy to get to the shit. If I have a goal, that's all I have a problem. There's an end to that situation, right? So yeah, so now I'm back on the ship. Obviously, in my favorite. I made it.
Good work, man. So to summarize what you said, because you were kind of cutting in and out a little bit, but you had messed up your ankle and it affected you mentally, and then you had to like rebrand or rewire your mind to create a new goal so you weren't so focused on your ankle, and your new goal was to just get healthy.
Yep. Yep. Because with my ankle, I didn't have my fitness. I couldn't work out hard. I could do like arms and stuff. And then I wasn't out here leading and making and having a purpose to wake up in the morning. So it was pretty tough, man, playing on the couch with nothing to do. It was rough. So I had to set a new goal to get back out here. And then I'm back out here.
So Danny, you're out of the Air Force now?
Yeah, March 12th, I think it was I got my DD 214, and
sorry, go ahead.
not good. I'm
How was your transition out of there to now?
it was I'd say the biggest thing was awkward, because I had a plan of what I was doing and with social media and the things I wanted to do. I just didn't know how they would play out. I had the plan of doing content creation and motivational stuff and helping people. Again, I resort back to that because that's what I want to do. That's the whole reason I post. So if I didn't care to, I wouldn't be doing it. I wanted to find a way to do that, and I was kind of nervous because there's tons of people out there that are very successful influencers that are either half my age that make a lot of money on it. It's their careers, right? And there's some people that do the same thing and their just platforms just don't do well. And it wasn't for the purpose of me failing. I just like my whole life I had a sense of this time, I'm doing this, right? From 17 years old, right? From going from a senior in high school to an airman first class in the Air Force. It was a schedule. At this time, I'm doing this. I'm deploying this time, going on this mission. And for all that to be shut off, it's a little, there's a little bit of depression that came with it. It sounds weird, but it was like everyone has that post getting out depression. And even when many of my buddies I've talked to have warned me about it before I got out, and also afterwards, like, hey man, if you need anything, I know it's kind of awkward and hard when you get out to adjust to civilian life. And I definitely felt that. Because in the first month, especially, like just, I moved back to Pennsylvania and just, I'd be in bed. I'm like, what do I do with myself? Like, I you know what I mean? Like, I'd be sitting there in bed. It's like 10 a.m. just staring at the ceiling. Like, I felt like not what's it called? Like now I have drive, but it just felt like, what's my purpose now, right? I want to do this. I want to do the content stuff, and that's cool and all, but like I just felt like a little lost.
Yeah, you had no more direction.
Yeah, and over time, I started figuring out like more of a structure of like what I want to do and future business plans, opening a gym and working with this company and doing this for that, and ultimately finding a way to where like, all right, I got this down. I'm doing something that makes me happy. But the biggest thing was just adjusting to civilian life. It's very different, but I will say it's changed my life in a positive way. Uh, I'm very open with my anxiety and depression, and a lot of the reason I got all the help I could, non medication wise, through the military and through all the resources, Military One Source, and so forth, mental health clinic, and all that stuff. But because I was a flyer, I never actually tried to get things to help me because they would ground me from flying. And it's a double-edged sword because flying, try to fly as much as I can during the week as an instructor, and that made me happy. Like that brought happiness and joy to my life. So for years, I was fighting this depression where I'm like, do I get on meds and not flying, be sad, and maybe be sad, maybe be happy, not knowing how the meds will hit, or do I just continue flying, handle this depression, and just get through the depression, but at least I'm flying. So that's what I did, and I got through it, and I was able to have the right resources to help me. But now, with again, being very vulnerable and open about it, being on medication now has helped me tremendously, because I noticed a lot in my life with just negative things, military and not. I let negative thoughts consume my entire day, and the positive moments would be so short lived, and the negatives would literally cloud the whole day. Like one negative thing would happen, I think about it all day. Like it would consume me, right? And nothing would make it better. And then something so great, positive can happen. Like, all right, cool. Versus now, that's kind of opposite. Like my positive feelings are so much more vibrant, and I feel them, and they're there, and I can enjoy them. And those negative ones, like some shit happens, like all right, bet, cool. Well, I'll figure it out. Like whatever. Like I don't let it take over everything. So now with getting out and actually getting that help I needed on that aspect, I'm super thankful. And I share that to people because some people are for and against. I'm not one for medication or taking stuff. I just wanted to try something, and I was super scared, and it worked out for me. Um, and also surrounding myself. The biggest thing is I had to tell myself, not everyone's your friend. A lot of people say, that's my friend, that's my friend. I have probably like a handful, if not a little over a handful of people that are actually there, and sticking and surrounding yourself with those people and knowing that they're there for you through everything, thick and thin. One of those biggest people being uh, my girl, like, just support wise, and understanding like that support system is so important. Whether people have wives, girlfriends, whatever, like when someone says that they're proud of you, and you don't hear that often, but you hear it from the person that you need to hear from, it makes all the difference. And when you have not only your significant other, but your people that you surround yourself with saying that about you, like, hey man, keep killing it, and they're uplifting you, it makes you better. You don't want to be surrounding yourself with people that are waiting for you to fail or waiting for your downfall. And a lot of people do, and it's a very big, even in the fitness industry. That's why, like, I talk to people all the time, but like people I call friends, few and far between, because I'm like, are you going to be there for me when I need it, or are you going to be there for me only when you need me to be? You know. So transitioning out, I had to tell myself, surround myself with the right people, get the help I need, set myself up successfully financially. And the biggest thing of all these things, do everything I do it for the sake of being happy and chasing happiness. I always tell myself, chasing it sounds corny, chasing happiness, but I want to love what I do. I don't want to hate what I do. I'm not going to do a job I don't want to do. I don't want to do it just for the money. I want to be doing it because I love it, because I'm passionate about it. So getting out, I'm able to do what I was doing in the military now with fitness, but now full time, and something I'm so passionate about, just like I was with the military, but now even more so with all the help I need, with the right people I have, and and yeah, now looking back, yeah.
What what advice would you give to somebody? Because I've heard that, coming out of the military is, I don't want to like say it's similar to a sport unless it is, but coming out of, like, let's say you're in like the NFL and you're just done, like your career's over. A lot of people become lost. And it's like in the military, you come out of the military and then you just were lost. So what advice do you have for people in your situation?
I would say the biggest thing is a support group, is being around people that are going to be there to support you when you get out, transition out. The biggest thing is, and not just after you get out, but setting up a game plan before. I know in the Air Force we have a program called TAPS, which helps you transition out, helps you set yourself up with jobs, career paths, opportunities, educational paths. Make sure you understand how the VA works, which is the Veteran Affairs program that we have for disability and all our doctor's appointments and stuff. But understanding everything before you get out so that when you do get out, you are prepared. A lot of people don't pay attention to that kind of shit before they get out because, like, fuck it, I just want to get out, whatever. And then once they're out, they're like fucked because they didn't pay attention to anything that they're being taught for the transition program. The whole point of a transitional program for you when you get out is so when you get out, you're not fucked. You know, that's pretty straight to the point because that's how it is. It's like if you're not prepared for something, how are you gonna, you know what I mean? Um, and those programs are there for that reason. And there's a lot of usually at least the Air Force, depending on how far out you are getting out, like how much time you have before you get out, they give you lots of time to prepare. And they're mandatory courses. So it's not like you have the option. Like TAPS is a mandatory course for you to get out. And if you're paying attention, which you should be because it's your life, you'll learn like, hey, if I want to go to college, okay, how can I do that? If I want to apply for jobs, are there veteran employment tracks per state? They tell you different state options, different state programs. Okay, cool. Or VA, do you have disability? How do you file a claim for VA disability? How does that work? You know, all these pertinent things for you to know. You know, and that's why for me, like I knew all this stuff, and it was still difficult, right? So I can only imagine for someone that isn't paying attention to those things and they get out and they're lost and they don't have a friend group, that's where you fall into a slippery slope. And that's where the mental health aspect hits hard because you feel like you're alone, and not only alone, but you don't know what to do. And that's where things get slippery. So I always tell people, set yourself up for success, and if you're scared, that's where I'll find someone that isn't and be around them and learn from them. Some people aren't the most vocal people to ask for that. And that's why even on my social media, I tell all the time, if you guys have questions on stuff, ask me. I don't care if you're a stranger or not. If you have something you want to know that's going to help you, I will tell you. Whether you are going to like the answer or not, I'd rather you hear it bluntly, how it is, so that you aren't screwed or left like someone that didn't get the information they needed. So being proactive before you transition or get out of the military is key. And then once you are out, or the days that after you get out, start getting yourself like don't stall. You can take a little time for yourself, but don't stall on the next step and the next chapter. Because a lot of people they're like, oh, I'm just gonna do this, and they just stay complacent and they don't progress. They're just a veteran, you know, and that's it, which is fine if you're just gonna, you know, hang around the house. And but I don't think that people want to do that. You know what I mean? I think people want a life after the military. I think they want, but it's just learning how to adjust because the civilian life is very different from the military life. And if they have the steps they need, I think they should be good.
It's pretty good advice. James, did you have anything you wanted to add to all of that? Because I know you're still in.
Yeah, my wife was in the military, so she went probably about 2 years ago. You know, you mentioned the taps and all that stuff, but I think that's kind of because you're so wired and you have a routine being in the military and the structure of it. It could be hard adjusting when you get out. I know she had a little bit of an issue with that. But you know, it's just probably just like you said, getting off like NFL player, stop playing football. Okay, what am I going to do now? But it's just different in the military because you're coming out a very, very structured lifestyle where you really didn't have a choice if you're going to be there or not. You were supposed to be there, and then coming out of that, you lose a lot right? Because I mentioned earlier, we eat, sleep, work out, work together on the ship. So you do get a great bond. So I'll never get, once I leave the Navy, I'll never have this again. So I know that now. And so I'm kind of mentally preparing myself for it. But I'd say that's the difference between the civilian and the military, getting stopping a career or changing a career.
Mm-hmm. I seen one thing you were doing with the hats.
What's that?
I saw one thing you were doing with the hats.
What about?
what hats do you sell hats, right?
Oh yeah, I did a little run, make America athletic.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Those are cool. Those are
Those are
funny.
funny, man. Yeah, people love them, man.
That's good. As you guys look forward to the future, what legacy do you want to leave behind in the Air Force, in the Navy, or
You
even
know,
fitness? Even
yeah. So
fitness
that
too, because
changed.
obviously this is all related to fitness.
Yeah, that changed, man. So like, I really wanted to be like an admiral, right? But there's a lot that goes with that, going to that level of leadership in armed forces, or general or admiral, whatever. But what I really wanted for people to be like, yo, James Ball, that dude was dope as fuck. He kept it real. He took care of me. He handled his shit. Like he was a solid dude. That's my reputation. Like this rank stuff, it really don't matter to me at all, right? Because the only people I remember isn't about the rank or anything like that while I'm in the service. It's about like, yo, was he real? Did he take care of me? Did he get shit done? And that's what I remember, right? So that's kind of legacy I'm leaving. And I want them to be like, yeah, I remember him when I was 20. I was having a hard time, but now I'm here now because of because I got a couple people like that I look up for. I still know their names, Brad Olson and Ken Epps. Never forget them. If it wasn't for those guys, so I want to be the Brad Olson and Ken Epps for the people below me now.
What about you, Danny?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna mimic, but I completely agree with that statement. My biggest thing I said earlier was that people always knew that I was Danny. You know, I was Tech Sergeant Danny. I was an instructor. I was a superior, but I was always Danny, and I wanted people to feel valued. And the biggest thing I wanted to leave legacy wise is I wanted to make an impact on people's lives that I was able to touch. Like as that's make an impact on people's lives that I was able to help, assist, instruct, whatever it may be, whether it was in helping them through dark times or even getting them through the best times in their lives. You know, I had students that messed up terribly that, you know, people didn't want to fly with because, you know, they're just so shitty. And I was like, just believe in them. Like if you don't believe in them or if you don't think they're gonna do well, how do you think they're gonna believe in themselves? You know what I mean? Um I I have so many stories and some of the students that I knew how much they respected me. They would call me when they needed help. They would call me on weekends to hang out, you know, just leaving a positive
Hey, I'm on that
impact
podcast. Let's get back up.
on these young people's lives, you know, and it's
Like podcast.
that that is probably like the biggest thing. I could sell these different things that I wanted when I first joined because when I first joined, that mindset was I wanted to make this rank. I want to be chief master. Fuck that. I got in and I was like, nah, it ain't for me, dog. Like I don't care. Like I didn't even care like what rank it was when I finished or whatever. However I finished, it was just like whatever I was doing at that certain time, that certain rank. Was I like was I at the top tier excelling at it, being the best I possibly fucking can at it, and then at the same time being the best at it, all the people that are underneath me, taking care of them and making sure that I'm setting the example of what that is. And I pride myself in that. And I was good at my job. I loved what I did, and it wasn't even in a cocky way, but winning awards for what you do, it felt good. Like you got recognized for performing well, not for performing well as an instructor to where you are teaching the next generation, and where those kids looked up to you like, hey man, you really helped me during a tough time as a NCO, but as a human, you know, because I pull them aside, like, yo, what the fuck's up? You know, there's a lot of people that are very Air Force blue, as we call it, which are by the book and by the reg, and that was not me. Full transparency, fuck
Me
that.
neither. Me neither.
Like, I shut the door, be like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you being a fucking like? Are you being an idiot? Like I would just talk to them how they wanted to hear it. You know what I mean? But I
You
knew it's
gotta
how I
connect.
went across.
You gotta connect the people as people, not
Yeah,
as a lieutenant commander, not as a tech sergeant, not as a seaman, airman, whatever. And people listen. That's the
people,
secret, man.
pe-
If everybody listens to this in the military, that's the key to
yep,
leadership.
people do. If you could relate to them, make them understand that you actually give a shit. Like, hey, I'm not in here to fucking discipline you. I'm here to help you, like literally help you. And they can sense it. Versus someone that's like they walk in with a piece of paper and they read like, all right, so on this day you did like fuck you. You know what I mean? Like there are so many people like that, so many people, and I'm
Yeah.
glad I actually had shitty leadership at some points because it showed me how not to be. And my whole time
I've
coming up, it gave me an example of how I didn't want to be like.
I've learned more from bad leaders than I have from leaders.
Yep.
Hmm. I know you guys gotta get off soon. James, it sounds like you have to go soon. So
Yeah,
I'll wrap
I should
this up in
go
like
home. Okay.
two more questions. So I don't think we ever talked about how you guys both, ended up here with Raw. I'll ask this
Yeah.
question and then I'll ask one more
Yeah.
question
Straight
after that.
up.
How did you guys both end up here with Raw?
Dumb luck. So I had a big shoe page, sneakers and shit, and Matt Jansen was following me for my shoes. But I throw some workout stuff. And he's like, "Yo, you sponsored?" I'm like, "Nah, man." He's like, "All right, we're starting some shit up." And this was back in 2020 before the brand even launched. And so,
Wow.
yeah, that's how I got into the brand because of shoes. Because they liked my shoe collection and style and all that stuff, and I kind of fit the vibe for the brand. And here I am. Like I'm athletic. I'm the brand. Like kind of molded me, but kind of like I feel like the brand and me have kind of grown together the last 5 years. It's been cool.
That's what's up.
Well, that story's a lot cooler than mine. Shit. Well, all right. Well, I'm new to this team, which I'm super thankful and blessed for. I've had my share of different companies I work with, but just being a bodybuilding fan, right, from the start and watching different companies grow up and come about and so forth. Um, One that always stuck out when Raw became about. This is when like Nick Walker was initially signed, but Sebum, everyone watching these people and seeing the kind of people that were part of the company and how it was operating. It was like, and this was when I was younger. I was like, wow, this would be so cool. It'd be so cool to be part of it. Like it would be a dream to be part of something like that. It was just like like almost one of those fantasies I had. Like, oh, it'd be really cool to be a sponsor, like athlete, you know? And that was just that mindset I had then. And over time, like doing my thing and just putting myself out there, just like how my page is, it's just Danny. It's just Danny. Not Danny Swoll, just Danny. I'm just a goofy motherfucker with my military background and my mental health stuff. And people listen to that stuff. And I got to get around a lot of cool people, thankfully, through the fitness environment. You know, Stefan, Dan Vella, my buddy Adam Hill, who works with Raw in the back. Those guys, I got to build really good relationships with those guys through past companies. Actually, when I was with Redcon and with Animal, this is back in the day. And even over the years, as I moved, like people went to different companies, staying in contact, and always just seeing like all the good people went to one place. I'm like, that's kind of interesting. You know, and then like this last year I was just like, man, that'd be sick. And I kept telling myself this. This is like a year ago. I was like, man, that'd be sick. Man, that'd be sick. And then I was like, you know what, fuck it. I was just, I think Dan was at some event and I was like, bro, I was like, I wish I was there. Like I was still with my other company. I was like, I wish I was there right now with you guys. Like, because it was all my boys in one spot. I feel like my boys were hanging out, but I wasn't part of the team yet. So like, I wasn't cool enough to sit at the cool kids table. And I was like, and he's like, well, let's make something happen. I was like, what? I almost sharted my pants and got on a call. Literally, like 2 days later, I got on a call with Jack. Met Jack, one of the coolest motherfuckers I got to do. I don't do video chats often, besides like when I had to instruct. But like, I talked to Jack. Like, he's a bro. He's professional.
Jack's dope.
Fucking
Jack's dope.
perfected gelled hair. Like, fucking whoop. Man. If I was into dudes, that'd be the dude. But
Jack's amazing.
yeah,
Jack's a really good dude. He was actually the one supposed to be doing this video today, but he got caught up with
yeah.
something else.
No worries. But yeah, he just got me hyped up. We were just talking about like what I represent and what I'm about, and he's like, we love that. And I was like, you're fucking kidding me? Like it was like I don't get often like just like very excited about something like, but I'm like, if I could just be myself and the company like loves that and like helps promote what I'm about and has that same vision, that's perfection. And then like, sure enough, 2 emails later, 3 emails later, it was set in stone and it happened. And, I'm just super, I'm super happy and blessed. I know it sounds corny, but, I fitness is a huge part of my life, and having a company behind me that supports what I do and also have like-minded things that we promote is huge to me, because I'm not one of those people that's going to go just to be with someone to be with someone because of a name. I want to be like involved. That's why I'm like, like all the time, Jack, I'm like, hey, how can I do, or how can I do this more? Anything I could do to help, because I want to help better something I'm part of. So I'm super excited. I can't say I have many opportunities and I say experiences yet because I haven't lived them out, but I know they're going to be awesome. And just seeing literally one day, I'll be straight up with you, James. I went through like half your Instagram just to see your raw events and stuff. And I was like, bro, that's sick. I was
Oh yeah.
like, not just looking at your shoes and like how jacked you are. I was like, wow. Like just like the different, like, and I was like, that's like, he's been with this company. And then that one post that really hit was where you were signing. It was your post where you did like day one versus now. And I was like, that's dope. Like, you don't see that often, right? You see people that are this
Yeah.
company, that, but like that loyalty, right? And that's what I'm about too. So yeah, that's me.
Thanks, man. I like that. I thought that was cool. That like I didn't know what I was doing at year one, and then year five, I was just like I had like all the supplements in front of me. And year five, I was just like, I love this brand, man. It's like the culture I'm with, you know. And so
Yeah.
like I think that's what we really represent here at Get Raw. Is like, what really resonates with me is too is build it from the ground up. Because I came in as me one, so I start off. I didn't have anything. Like I've had to like work for everything I've got, and that's what the brand is about. So I think Danny resonates with the same thing as well.
Mhm.
It's that military shit, right? Because the military, you got to build yourself up from the ground up. So
Yep.
it's like you come in E1 or O1, and then you got to do the time and do the jobs to progress, right?
Yep.
So last question. It'll be a short one because it's a one word answer, but maybe more. If you had to sum up your military experience in one word, what would it be and why? It's a tough one.
Oh, the one word, yeah. Um, I'm just gonna say impactful because it's been impactful to me, and I've been impactful to others.
Motherfucker. I was
And
going to say impact. Damn it. All
uh,
right. Well, no, I gotta do a different one, because that's no, that's spot on. But
I need like Chat GPT right now to help me out with a
I
thesaurus or
know, I know,
something.
I know, I know. I know. Like spearhead. I need something to spearhead with. All right. Oh man, dude.
Adventure's a good one. Spin off that.
Yeah, an adventure. Like pride, honor, all those. I mean, they sound so corny. But impact is the closest thing I'd say. Like impactful, impact, pride, and being proud of the impact.
Yeah.
Because like, regardless of what rank or what I did, like those experiences on that adventure, the impact on the people and the things that you did there, those are things you'll never forget and you'll tell your grandchildren about. So
Yeah,
yeah,
like
impact.
the experiences of people have had impact on you, but you've also had an impact on the experiences and people. So it's just like a perfect
Yeah.
outward and inward, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And you've also, as far as the mission, has been impactful for our country, which is our number one thing of why we do business, right? So it's like, I think that's the word, man. I don't
Yeah.
think you get
And
another one.
yeah, no, only other thing I'd add is probably like the transformation of just transformation, right? Of a kid to an adult, and just like learning life, you know. A lot of people join when I did at 17, and you're just a kid, like, and you're learning life through the military. Like, you're learning how to, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're learning how to do
Maybe
the,
matured.
yeah,
Almost
Matured is
like
a
an
good word.
evolution.
evolution. Yeah, evolution
Evolu-
of,
yes.
Yeah.
Evolved. Yeah, I like that.
Solid. That's really all the questions I had. Is there anything that you guys personally felt like you wanted to add or say to the people that are still listening?
Yeah, so like one thing I've been doing on the ship is I've been doing these like post-workout interviews. I work out on the ship, and I don't work out in the officer gym. I work out with the regular people, man, because I like the energy and I like being around the crew. But I've been doing these interviews and be like, yo, where you from? What do you do? All this stuff. I'm like, how has your fitness helped you in the Navy? Something like that. And almost every one of them is it makes me mentally stronger. And so like that's what I'm trying to get at why fitness is so important in the military. It's not about having a fast run time or you know do X amount of push-ups or whatever. It's about accomplishing those goals and making yourself feel good that makes you mentally stronger. And that's what we really need in the military is mental resilience. And so that's kind of my thing I'm trying to kind of spread awareness to. It's not about how you look or you know get bigger biceps. All that stuff's cool. But in the end of the day, the reason why I think it's so impactful to the military service members is the mental health aspect because you got to go months. The thing about the Navy or the Air Force Department of the Services or Department of Defense Services is it's a grind. So you got to be able to mentally grind out for an extended period of time. And the one thing that's helped me, and I'm seeing it with other people because I don't, is the mental healthness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's spot on. Like that would have been included in what I would have said as well. And the other thing I wanted to add to the people listening is uh, don't be ashamed of needing help. Don't be ashamed of asking for help, getting help, going out and whether it's going through avenues of the mental health clinics or um, nonprofits or even military ones. There's all the resources us as DoD members, active and retired veterans have. It's okay to not be okay. It's a slogan I have. It's actually on my T-shirts I made, and it's a very true statement. And it's because life throws shit at you all the time, and it's how you
That's
handle
dope,
that
man.
makes. But it's okay to have bad days. It's okay to have a shit moment. Like embrace that moment, feel it. Don't ignore it. Feel it. It's okay to be sad or fucking mad or angry, but work through it. Find a way to work through it, a healthy way to work through it. And what's a healthy way to work through it? Go to the gym. That is what saved my life. The gym is where I go to release negative energy. I also have fun when I'm doing it. So when leave the gym, I feel better overall as a person. Mentally, yes, physically, right? I'm building my muscles, I'm getting bigger, right? But I'm mentally getting stronger. And it helps me with those issues that I had outside of the gym. And I'm not saying again, you have to be a bodybuilder or you have to be huge and jacked. Just go in there, sweat it out a little bit. Give some type of physical endurance based, whatever it is, some type of movement to get your body moving. Take your mind off of that negative shit and you'll feel better. And through that you could build friends. You could even become something you never thought you would because you fall in love with a certain type of fitness, CrossFit, powerlifting, body, but you never know. But to tie it all back, it's like the whole reason a lot of people have problems is because the stigma. It's like it makes you weak. You're not it makes you less of a man if you have emotions and feelings. Fuck that. I cry in the shower sometimes. Not recently, but I have. I have emotions. And it's okay to have those emotions. I'm not and we're not as tough as we may think. On surface to people it may look that way. A lot of people may think, especially people who never think I have the personality I do. But I let people see that vulnerability wise, that it's okay to have sad emotions, negative emotions, and to talk about them in a healthy way to where it doesn't bottle up. Because if it does bottle up, you'll take it out on someone else, and that's toxic and negative, or even slippery, or you will take it on yourself. And you don't want to be sitting there alone, knowing that you could have gotten help, and now you're in that point where you feel like nothing. And I've been there, and it's not a fun place. So if you're out there and you are struggling, it's fine, bro. You got this shit. You're awesome. And the biggest thing is you're important and you're worthy as much as you may think. It's not in the moment right now. You're strong. The world needs you. And there's things out there that can help you. And if you don't think anyone's out there to help you, fucking message me. I'll talk to you. So that's it.
Thank you, Danny. Well, I think that's the end of the podcast. What you guys
Thanks,
think?
Luke. Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks,
bro.
Luke, man. Pleasure chopping it up, Danny, man. We gotta meet one of these days, one of these events for sure.
Yeah, to be fair, I can't wait.
I'm gonna be out for a while though at the unknown location, but I'll be back next year.
No, we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, yeah. We got Wi-Fi on ships now. Like 2 years ago, I couldn't even. So it's pretty crazy to me, like
Yeah,
that
that's
we have
wild.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
Navy's really the last to get it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, thank you
it's
guys
cool.
for joining. Thank you guys for joining this episode of the Raw U podcast, and to all the viewers, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Yeah,
Yep,
for sure.
peace.
Thanks for having me. Later.